In a league perpetually chasing the next big thing, where every franchise meticulously strategizes its path to contention, how utterly perplexing is it that two of the NBA's most storied and ambitious franchises find themselves locked in a quiet, yet intense, tug-of-war for a player whose recent on-court contributions have been, to put it mildly, a ghost of his former self? The Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks, perennial rivals with championship aspirations, are reportedly vying for the services of Ben Simmons, a name that once promised limitless potential, but now carries the heavy baggage of injuries, inconsistency, and a stark decline in production. Is this a shrewd, low-risk gamble on untapped talent, a desperate reach for depth, or simply a bewildering fascination with a name that once shone so brightly? The very notion sends a ripple of skepticism through the basketball world, forcing us to question the logic behind such a high-profile pursuit of a player who has become the very definition of a high-risk, high-reward proposition. The whispers began last week, amplified by reports from ESPN's Brian Windhorst linking the Boston Celtics to Ben Simmons. For many Celtics faithful, the news was met with a mixture of surprise and, in some corners, outright dismay. Simmons, now 29 years old, is undeniably a risky addition for any team willing to take him on. His journey from a highly touted #1 overall draft pick to a player who has struggled to stay on the court and regain his form has been well documented, a cautionary tale of potential unfulfilled. Yet, despite the clear red flags, both the Celtics and their bitter rivals, the New York Knicks, appear willing to roll the dice on the enigmatic Australian. SNY's Ian Begley recently reiterated New York's strong interest, stating that Simmons is certainly a candidate for the Knicks' final roster spot, with several other teams reportedly monitoring his decision. The Phoenix Suns were also initially connected to Simmons, further underscoring the curious breadth of interest in a player whose recent statistical output barely registers on the NBA radar. To understand the sheer audacity of this pursuit, one must first confront the stark reality of Ben Simmons' recent past. Last season, after joining the Los Angeles Clippers in February on a veteran minimum deal of just $1.08 million, Simmons appeared in a mere 17 games. His averages were startlingly low for a player of his former stature: 2.9 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 3.1 assists per game, all while logging a little over 16 minutes per contest. These numbers are a far cry from the triple-double threat and Defensive Player of the Year candidate he once was during his peak with the Philadelphia 76ers. The decline has been precipitous, marked by persistent back issues and mental hurdles that have kept him off the floor. For a player who once commanded max contracts and was seen as a cornerstone of a franchise, his current situation is a sobering reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in the unforgiving world of professional sports. The question isn't just about his physical health, but his ability to consistently contribute at an NBA level to shake off the rust and the doubts that have accumulated over years of limited action. So, why the renewed interest from two of the league's most competitive franchises? Let's first turn our gaze to the New York Knicks, a team that has meticulously built a formidable roster, transforming themselves into a legitimate contender in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks have already had a productive offseason, making what are described as nice additions in Jordan Clarkson and Gershon Yabusele. Both players are expected to feature heavily in their rotation, adding depth, scoring, and defensive versatility. The Knicks are projected to roll out the same formidable starting five that propelled them to success last season: Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Karl Anthony Towns. This is a lineup brimming with talent, defensive prowess, and offensive firepower. Beyond their starters, New York boasts at least 9 surefire members of its rotation, assuming Miles McBride continues to earn quality bench minutes alongside the defensive anchor Mitchell Robinson. For the Knicks, the interest in Simmons appears to be a low-cost, high-upside gamble for their final roster spot. They are not looking for a starter, they are looking for a lottery ticket, a potential wild card who, if healthy, could provide unique defensive versatility and playmaking off the bench. Imagine a scenario where Simmons, even in a limited capacity, could come in and handle point-forward duties, facilitate offense, and guard multiple positions. His defensive instincts and passing vision, even if diminished, could still be valuable for a team that already has established scoring options. However, the critical caveat here is playing time. With a deep and established rotation, Simmons would likely find opportunities scarce in New York. The Knicks are built on continuity and defined roles, and inserting a player with Simmons' recent history and uncertain fit could disrupt that delicate balance. The risk for New York isn't necessarily about his performance, but more about the potential for distraction or a lack of clear role if he were to join. They are in a position of strength, and any addition must enhance, not complicate, their existing chemistry. Now let's shift our focus to the Boston Celtics, a team facing a significantly different set of circumstances. Unlike the Knicks, who boast a deep and established rotation, the Celtics don't have a ton of guaranteed starters outside of their two undisputed stars, Jaylen Brown and Derek White. This situation is further exacerbated by the expected absence of Jason Tatum for the entire upcoming season, a monumental blow that fundamentally alters their championship aspirations for the immediate future. With Tatum sidelined, the Celtics are suddenly staring at a roster with less talent and depth compared to their New York counterparts. This is where Ben Simmons enters the conversation as a potentially more appealing option for him. From Simmons' perspective, the Celtics might offer a clearer path to playing time and a more significant role. With Tatum out, Boston has a gaping hole in its offensive creation and defensive versatility. Simmons, even a limited version of him, could theoretically step into a role where he handles the ball, initiates offense, and provides much-needed defensive length and switchability. The opportunity for more minutes and a chance to prove himself on a high-profile team, even one temporarily without its superstar, could be incredibly enticing. For the Celtics, the gamble is different. While the financial commitment would likely be minimal, the basketball risk is substantial. Can Simmons stay healthy? Can he regain enough of his former self to be a net positive? Boston needs reliable contributors, not just flashes of potential. They need players who can consistently impact winning, especially in Tatum's absence. The allure of Simmons is his unique skill set, a 6 feet 10 inches point guard with elite passing vision and defensive capabilities, but the reality of his recent performance makes him a true wild card. If he can provide even 70% of his former self, he could be an absolute steal for a team desperate for playmaking and defensive versatility. If not, he becomes another roster spot occupied by an injured or ineffective player, a luxury the Celtics can ill afford in their current state. The delay in Simmons' decision is perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this developing story. Is he waiting to see if further suitors emerge, perhaps a team that can offer an even clearer path to playing time or a more defined role? Or is he simply weighing his options, considering the fit, the coaching staff, and the potential for a fresh start? For Simmons, this decision is paramount. It's not just about money. Given his veteran minimum deal, it's about rehabilitation, both physically and professionally. He needs a situation where he can rebuild his confidence, prove his health, and demonstrate that he can still be an impactful NBA player. The choice between the Knicks' established depth and championship aspirations versus the Celtics' greater need for a skill set, albeit in a season without their superstar, is a complex one. Ultimately, the pursuit of Ben Simmons by both the Celtics and the Knicks is a fascinating study in risk assessment and strategic opportunism. For the Knicks, it's a low-cost addition to an already strong roster, a potential cherry on top that could provide an unexpected boost if he rediscovers any semblance of his old self. For the Celtics, it's a more desperate gamble, a calculated risk to fill a significant void left by Tatum's injury, hoping that a change of scenery and a clearer role can unlock the talent that once made him the #1 pick. The stakes are high, not just for the teams involved, but for Simmons himself. His decision will undoubtedly shape the narrative of his career, determining whether he can truly resurrect his game or if his once bright star will continue to fade into obscurity. Whichever team he chooses, they are betting on potential, on a player who has shown flashes of brilliance, but whose recent history is riddled with question marks. It's a gamble that could pay off handsomely or leave both sides wondering why they ever bothered. As these two titans of Eastern Conference quietly battle for a player shrouded in uncertainty, what's your take? Do you believe Ben Simmons can truly revive his career with either the Celtics or the Knicks? Or is this simply a case of teams chasing a ghost of his former self? Which team, if any, do you think offers the best environment for Simmons to succeed? And what would success even look like for him at this stage? Share your bold predictions, your cautious observations, and your passionate arguments in the comments below. And if you're as captivated by the unpredictable twists and turns of NBA free agency as we are, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive reports and dynamic analysis that keeps you informed and engaged with every critical storyline in the league. Your support drives our coverage,